Welcome everybody to the Region Hot Mics podcast. I hope you all are having a good weekend, and I hope you all had a good last weekend. Today we'll be discussing about the selective activism of social rights or human rights activist and literature icon, Professor Wole Soyinka. As recently as last week, Professor Wole Soyinka said that or implied that the U.S. government's motive of helping Nigeria get rid of insurgents and terrorists was ulterior. He had some ulterior motives, and that if Nigeria government or the Nigerian government had already claimed or said they have it and they will do that, there was no need for the U.S. to get involved unless the U.S. was more of had another motive which wasn't clear at the moment. So, and the reason for this podcast is not here to debate or argue if the US has ulterior motive or if it is right or wrong. Because first of all, I think even before they send troops to Nigeria, physical troops, Congress, the U.S. Congress has to authorize it when it comes to physically sending troops. So that might be a little long process in terms of the troops, but there are other ways of getting involved, soft power and other ones. That's not what we are discussing today. What we are discussing today is the selective activism of Professor Wole Soyinka. Yeah, I use the word selective activism because first and foremost, the first point, Professor Wole Soyinka is not a citizen of America. He's a citizen of Nigeria. Yeah, and he had his visa revoked by the US. He has a green card or had, I don't know if he still has one, but he made a promise that if President um, Donald J. Trump is elected, he was going to tear it or destroy it. And I think he kept to the promise back then, some years back. So as recent as November this year, he was asked by some journalists how will he assess President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Professor Wole Soyinka said um, that for now he's still taking his time. He's going to assess his government later on, and I don't understand what he means by he's taking his time. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has spent 2 years or has been in power for more than 2 years. Next May will make it 3 years and in a 4 year tenure, and he's still taking his time. But he's criticizing President Donald J. Trump, who has only spent, hasn't even spent 1 year. Trump still has 2 more months to run before he would have been 2 months and 1 year in office. So why is he needing more time to access? I didn't say criticize. Why does he need more time to access Bola Tinubu, but he doesn't need more time to assess President Donald J. Trump? We all know that all politics is local. Politics is local, yeah. You can't be contesting something when your own local ward, when your own community is not in order. No, no, you have to put your house in order first before you go and you say you want to contest, or before you go and you talk about politics. Your house has to be in order. So I don't understand this Professor Wole Soyinka always jumping to talk about the US, to talk about Trump. I think it's more of a personal opinion or personal bias towards an individual. I'm not saying, I'm not taking sides. No, I don't know the history between the two men. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is that the same energy he has for Donald J. Trump should be the same energy he has for the Nigerian government. We all know that despite or um, Professor Wole Soyinka is as popular as what he has done, his human rights fights. He is as popular, as famous, as acknowledged for what he has done for human rights. The same way, I think he's even bigger as regards human rights than he is in terms of literature. Yes, he must have won the Nobel Peace Laureate back then, but this is a man who opposed the military government of General Sani Abacha. This is a man who opposed the Nigerian Civil War and supported the Biafran soldiers. He's on record. He did that. Yeah, I give him his flowers. When I mean flowers, I give it to him. So, but of lately, it seems that he's a different person. It seems like he's become a shadow of himself. The same things he criticized when he was younger are the same things now that he has failed to speak up to, or he's associating himself with. Okay, lately the National Theatre was renamed after Professor Wole Soyinka by President Tinubu. They all have a relationship during their days in Nadeko. I think it was Nadeko, during their days fighting the military regime. And maybe he found a personal relationship, or he formed a personal relationship with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But despite having that bond, that doesn't mean that he should not speak up when it's needed, because he's one of the few that is highly respected. This is a man that said so many things about President Goodluck Jonathan. He even called President Goodluck Jonathan, or compared him with Nebuchadnezzar, compared him to Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible. He did all sorts of things. He came online. He continued to attack Jonathan about the Chibu girls. He attacked him about the rising cost of prices. Attacked him about inflation. Attacked him about so many things. He didn't spare him. He was constantly there, putting on his toes, bending his neck, and we expected the same energy for President Tinubu. Why has the professor lost his voice? Why suddenly? And I don't mean he lost his voice. He hasn't lost his voice because he has the same energy for the president of America. Is the criticism of the president of America, is it more personal? When you see people like this, or when you see events like this, you start questioning some things. Because if we're talking about terrorism in Nigeria, not America. We're not talking about maybe gun violence in America. We're talking about terrorism in Nigeria. We're talking about more than 30 students, or 30 people kidnapped from the church in Eruku, from the CAC church in Eruku, Kwara State. We're talking of over 300 people put in a van in a school kids. If you have a parent, you know how painful it is. You know how difficult it is to lose a loved one. School should be the safest place anywhere in the world. It should be school. You don't have a reason to drop your kids in school and you're thinking that is the worst feeling you can ever have. With the out of school numbers growing every day in northern Nigeria, you still have kidnapping. And Professor Wole Soyinka has not said anything about these issues. If his green card is revoked, it is the more reason for him to stay back, sit down, and then start accessing. He has all the time in the world. If he can't access President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with less than 2 more years to go, when is he going to access him? He's going to access him 10 years after he's gone? This is really selective activism. And it doesn't speak well of Professor Wole Soyinka, because when all is said and done, so many years after now, having done so much, not just for Nigerians, but for the world, this is recent record is going to impact his legacy. This is going to impact. This might even soil his legacy so much. If he suddenly kept quiet, then maybe we'll say maybe he's not reason. He has been granting interview, going everywhere. It's always about the US. What is his? He's not a citizen of the US. Maybe he could have been a citizen if he wanted. That's the topic for another day. So why is the energy not on Nigerian government and the politicians? He has criticized everybody. He criticized Abacha. He criticized Jonathan. He led protests. He did everything. But under President Tinubu, he's quiet. He now asks for more time. He wants more time before he can criticize Tinubu. I'm not even saying criticize. Before he can assess his government, with the insecurity all over the country, with people dying. We've lost count of how many people who have been kidnapped, abducted, ransom everywhere. 100 million, 200 million, 300 million, 50 million. And people like Professor Wole Soyinka is still talking about the US? Come on. We all can do better. We expect people like that, like our elders, to say, enough of this. Government have to sit up. What are we not doing right? What can we do better? And we're not having it. But all the energy is on the US, on a man who has not even spent 1 year in government. He has already assessed him. With which matrix? Which parameter? This is pure selective justice, and I expect better from Professor Wole Soyinka. If you are watching me and you like what I'm doing, please smash the like button, comment, and drop your comments. Thanks. Have a good weekend, you all. Have a good one.